poppin'? How y'all feeling? What's poppin'? Pregaming Pigskin back with you again. My man Kyle Edwards on the ones and twos. How you feeling this week?
I'm good. I mean, Thursday night, kicking off the NFL week, always a good time. So I can't complain. How are you?
Bro, tell me how I watched that entire Thursday night football game last week. All the entire game. And the funny part of that game was I actually bet the live line on the Colts to win the game when they
Mm-hmm.
were down 9-6 and the Broncos just converted the fourth down. I got him at plus 1,300. Russ throws the pick. The Colts go down and take the lead or tie the game. They
Mm-hmm.
go in overtime and the Colts win it. And I picked up some coin last week, $625 off like a $20 bet.
That's not a bad night at all. I mean, I watched the
Nah.
whole game as well. So I guess I'm
You
just
know
a
what? I
glutton for
realized that you
punishment.
would. I knew you would because you're a big football guy like I am.
Yeah.
Your team had a great week too, man. New England
Oh,
Patriots
yes.
just
Yeah.
dominated, bro.
Yeah. Their defense is better than advertised. I knew they would be decent, but I just love the team speed they have. And Bailey Zappi, he looks comfortable. I'll give him that. And I mean, that's a big deal for a third string guy coming out of Western Kentucky. But we'll see
He's a
this week, though.
hilltopper, bro. Hilltoppers understand. He's got a road test in front of him now.
Yep.
How you feel about this week? We'll get into that. We'll get into that shortly. We'll get into
Yeah, I
that.
don't. I don't give anything away.
Don't give it away. We got a nice, really exciting football game to start with this week. The Washington Commanders, the 1-4 Commanders, travel to Soldier Field on Thursday Night Football to take advantage to take on the Chicago Bears, two of the most electric offenses in the NFL. Who the hell am I kidding? No one can sell this game. This is a dud. How you think? How you feel about this game?
I mean, it's probably not the most exciting game of the weekend. I mean, it could, for all we know, with Thursday nights, you never know. It could turn into at least better than last week. It's a game that's going to be played in the trenches because both offensive lines can struggle at times. So it's going to be a battle to see which defensive line can make the other team's quarterback the most uncomfortable. I think whichever team can do that, that'll probably be the one who wins tonight. I do like the Bears only because, well, I think one, being at home. Two, I kind of want to see where Carson Wentz is at after last week with that whole Ron Rivera thing, where they kind of asked him like problems with the team. He kind of just said quarterback, but then he walked those comments back. I mean, I don't know. Washington's kind of a mess. Not to say the Bears are in great shape either, but I just think out of these two teams, the Bears are just a little bit better. I mean, Justin Fields is better than Carson Wentz, so I'll go with the Bears.
I'm gonna go with the Washington Commanders tonight. Fun fact: you know what? You know Carson Wentz is 6-0 on Thursday Night Football. He's the best record without a loss in Thursday Night Football ever.
Yeah. I mean, that's a record he would have. Yeah. That's interesting though.
You interested in having a third person jump on?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
got no problem with that.
I just sent the StreamYard out to somebody in the Sports Empire Network that wants to jump on, Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
But listen, at the end of the day, this game is going to be a dud. But I actually think it's going to be a higher scoring dud. I think after last week, Amazon Prime called up the NFL and was like, listen, we can't have another one of these. And I feel like I don't know why, for whatever reason, I feel like this is going to be a higher scoring game for no reason. Neither team has a pass rush at all right now. The Commanders, I don't know what's going on with them. They have such a good defensive line. They can stop the run, but they can't get after the quarterback. The Bears are abysmal getting after the quarterback. So I just don't understand right now what's going on. So with these two teams, I think they both are awful. But for whatever reason, I could see pick sixes. I could see turnovers. I can see a lot of things going on. But I think Commanders win a high scoring game. I just seen you join the audio. You got video, my guy, Jeremy?
I'm actually in my car, so I wasn't really doing video at this moment because I just
That's
pulled
fair.
over and said, "Let's do a show."
All right.
What's popping, Jeremy?
It was good,
We're doing
Jeremy.
one right now. We do Pregaming Pigskin every week. We're breaking down the Thursday night game, and then we'll get into your predictions, everyone's predictions for the slate on Sunday football. How do you see this game
Fantastic.
going tonight? Washington, Chicago.
Well, both of these teams, the defenses tend to give up points, not so much in buckets, but it actually might be a little bit more competitive than what we saw out of Indy and Denver because they can put a little bit of points on the board. I still expect Washington to win because their offense is slightly more explosive than what Chicago's has been. Chicago's got a great run game. Washington does not have a great run defense. The secondary's hit or miss for Chicago. The secondary's quite a bit better there in Washington. So I think Washington ends up pulling away with the win, but I think this is the battle for who gets top 5 pick and who gets top 10 pick.
I think both teams are absolutely awful. Before we move off of Chicago, Washington, I just want to make listen. I hope Justin Fields' family is listening to me. Somebody in the Justin Fields, you need to get that man out of there. That kid is way too talented. They have the 31st ranked 31st ranked wide receiver weapons in the NFL and the 28th ranked offensive line in the NFL as far as pass protection. Is this for
Facts.
real? That's how you protect a young quarterback. You draft a quarterback number 10 overall, and then they hire a defensive head coach in Matt Eberflus. Like, what is going on in Chicago? Awful ran organization. The McCluskey family needs to sell the damn team, get rid of them, because Justin Fields can be a superstar in this league. He's completing at a 68%, 68% completion percentage from a clean pocket, and he's got a 96 quarterback rating from a clean pocket. So I just think that the Chicago Bears have set this man up to fail. I think it's an ugly game. I wouldn't be surprised if Carson Wentz threw it away to the other team, but I am also predicting that the Washington Commanders win this one in a rather high-scoring game. I think it goes way over the total of 37. The total is telling you it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't know, man. I feel like this game has a lot of points. I think Amazon, I think the NFL, I think you might see some defensive holding calls to keep drives alive. But it's the return of Brian Robinson too. He played last week.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the many men entrance for him last week?
Yeah, I mean that's a great story. I mean, what's it been like 8 days or something since he got?
It's been about a month and a half,
month. Okay,
6 weeks.
Oh, okay. I mean that's still a great story.
Since he's been shot, he had a bullet in his knee.
That's
he
crazy.
6
was
weeks ago.
actually shot, wasn't it, 8 days before the regular season, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. Yeah.
That's where he got the 8 days from, Kyle. It's cool. I get you. I feel you.
I knew it was 8 days somewhere.
That being said, it's still a great story that he's able to return and play after being shot twice. Granted, it was both in the leg, but that could have ended his career as a running back.
Yeah,
100%. I think Brian Robinson anytime touchdown sprinkled on a plus 220 on that too. So I'm a little bit of the degenerate gambler. Give me the Commanders. Give me a Brian Robinson anytime touchdown. He's starting tonight over Antonio Gibson.
Okay. I mean, there you go. That's
over under 100 receiving yards for Darnell Mooney.
Under. That's too many. Justin Fields over unders 175. You think he's going to throw it to one guy?
Yeah, because he's the only one that can catch consistently.
Right.
Yeah, and Kill Harry's out again this week. And also,
I saw a thing earlier. Somebody said he was playing.
No, I just took the.
That's the story of his career anyway. So it is what it is.
N'Keal Harry is a younger version of Kenny Galladay.
William Jackson's also out for the Commanders, who's actually asked for a trade. Washington's prized free agent signing last year, signed like a 3-year, $35 million deal. In just the second year of his contract, is asked for a trade. He said that the fit is not good for him, and he wants out of there.
And I saw an article that they're saying Roquan and Robert Quinn should be asking for a trade now that the trade deadline's getting closer, because neither one of them teams are anywhere near a playoff berth.
Yeah,
Man, Roquan Smith is so underrated. Kyle, your thoughts?
No, I was about to say, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. You know, the Bears aren't going anywhere, and Roquan Smith, I'm sure what you were about to say is too talented to, waste good years in Chicago.
I have him as a top 10 off-ball linebacker.
We did our rankings this year. I had him as the 4th best inside linebacker in the NFL.
Yep, like I said, off-ball linebacker. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because nowadays your outside linemen are usually a hybrid of a defensive end or an outside linebacker anymore, because you got light defensive ends or heavy linebackers.
100% with you. Roquan Smith's an absolute beast. I can't wait to see what ends up happening tonight. I'm kidding. I cannot wait to get through this game. I love NFL football, so I'll probably watch every moment of it, but this is not a game that excites me. Let's move on to Sunday.
I do a post-game show for Sports Talk, Let's Talk Sports Network, so I have to watch this game.
I watch them all. I watched every minute of that Broncos-Colts game last week. I was telling Kyle before you hopped on, I put $25 on the Colts at plus 1,300 on the money line when they were down 9-6, and Denver just converted that 4th and 1, the first one, and then before Russell threw the pick, they were plus 1,300. I put $25 on the Colts money line and cashed out a little over $600.
Nice.
So let's move on though. We got a lot of games to go over. By the way, who's your team, Jeremy?
Detroit Lions.
Okay, I respect that. We beat y'all week 1,
the
but
bye week is favored in Vegas by 14.5 points this week. I think the Lions can upset that.
Bro, I think you need DeAndre Swift back, man. Hopefully he's healthy after the bye.
Oh, we need DeAndre Swift back. The good news is Jamison Williams is already slated to play next week. He's back and healthy. Josh Pascal and Jerry Jacobs returned to practice last week, but weren't quite ready to hit the field. They'll be ready for that game. I think that's going to help this defense immensely, because then you got somebody opposite Hutch who can actually collapse a pocket other than him.
Oh, trust me, man. I hear you. I low-key love the Lions because you got Deuce Staley, who's a former Philadelphia Eagle, former Eagles assistant. I watched Hard Knocks. I low-key root for the Lions. But, man, Kyle's Patriots, Kyle's a Pats fan. Kyle's Patriots put a whooping on y'all last week.
Yeah, and statistically, if you look at just the statistics, take away the score, that game should have been a hell of a lot closer than a big goose egg.
Yeah,
I mean, just look at it. I mean, we had 320 total yards. They had 374. That's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
The biggest problem was he wouldn't trust the new kicker to kick a field goal, a guy that's an 80% kicker in his lifetime. Granted, the one was 52 yards, and when he's over 49 yards, he's 3 of 10. I did my research, but he has a long of 59. You just paid the man to come play. Let him kick.
Yeah, Dan Campbell loved going for it on 4th down, which I love seeing him continue to do it, because the Patriots defense was locked in and they were stopping him with
you guys
short
knew
yardage.
It was going to be a run play.
Yeah, pretty much.
You guys knew it was going to be a run. Even on the 4th and 19, when I saw that draw play come up, I was like, what the are you doing?
Well, speaking of the Patriots, they traveled to Cleveland this week. The Patriots are playing the Cleveland Browns. Bailey Zappi looks to make the start. Mac Jones still not ready, healthy enough to play. How do you see this game going? I feel like the Cleveland Browns season is over, and regardless of what ended up happening in this game, the Cleveland Browns have now blown 3 games in which they were leading in the 4th quarter or had the ability to kick a game-winning field goal. The Chargers, I felt like Brandon Staley wanted to give that game away to them. Cade York misses the walk-off field goal. I think that was a terrible coaching job by settling for 58, not trying to get closer and being very conservative. They also lost the game to the Jets. That's never been done before, with a team up 13 points with 1:30 left. They lost that game.
Yep.
And and they lost the game. They lost the game to the Atlanta Falcons at Atlanta. But Cleveland's defense has been very underwhelming this year. They run the ball very well. The Patriots defense looks really good, and Bailey Zappi looks like he has commanded that offense. I'm just excited to see what Ramondre Stevenson does as the full-time 3-down running back this week, because I don't think Damian Harris is going to play. Kyle, am I correct? Is Damian Harris going to play this week?
As far as I know, he's not going to play this weekend.
How do you see your Patriots doing this week at Cleveland in the dog pound versus Bill Belichick's old team? If a lot of people forget, Bill Belichick coached in Cleveland. That's another superstar they let out the door in Cleveland.
Yeah. Belichick, he loves trying to prove a point against Cleveland. The key is going to be, there are times where the Patriots defense against the run can be a little bit shaky. And we know Cleveland's going to come into this one wanting to feed Chubb the ball. So if they can neutralize Chubb, they'll be good to go. Because offensively, I think Zappi has looked more and more comfortable with each drive that he's out there. I mean, first game he was out there, he, every time the pocket closed in on him a little bit, he looked scared. Now he's stepping up confidently. He's even taken off a couple of times. So I think the Patriots will be fine in this one. I wouldn't be shocked if it's on the lower end because both teams want to run the ball first. And Ramondre Stevenson's coming off 61 yards on the ground. So they obviously want to get him going. So Jacoby Myers, another guy to watch because it seems like he might be Zappi's favorite target. And
Jacoby Brissett coming back to New England.
Yeah, I mean, Belichick loved Brissett too. He's like a good leader and all that. So I like to see Brissett do well, but going against my Patriots, I can't have that. So I can see the Patriots winning this one like 23-17.
Jeremy, what you think?
Well, the only thing that's inconsistent on that defense is the back half of the defense is the secondary. They're either money or they're off. That's what I've seen all year. They were money against Detroit. They limited how many yards after the catch we were able to get by doing excellent tackling. They jumped the route well on the one play, which when he stared down Hawk, good Lord, it was such a bad pick. It was almost as bad. That pick right there was almost as bad as Russell Wilson's at the end of the game going for it on 4th down for the win when KJ Hamler was wide open in the other slot. Amon-Ra was standing there. Oh, like going, oh man, this is so bad. Other than that, I think the Pats can win this. They're playing a little better defensively. They're closing out games, which is something Cleveland doesn't do.
I mean, Jack Jones is a ball hawk.
I'll take the New England Patriots in this one. I think the Patriots defense takes away. Bill Belichick likes to take away the number one thing that you do well. I think that he'll put 8 men in the box and make Jacoby Brissett beat him with his arm. I think the Patriots win this one. I think there's a couple turnovers in this game. Give me a 27-23 Patriots win. I think it goes over the total. Just because everyone thinks it goes under. When the public thinks it's going to go under, normally goes over. So give me the Patriots in a close one with the upset. Next game on the docket, the Browns are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, that means Patriots will win.
Next game on the docket is the San Francisco 49ers. The league's best defense is once again traveling to the East Coast, all the way from the West Coast, to play against the team that's 5-0 against the spread, but only 2-3 on the record. That's the Atlanta Falcons. Who you like in this one? San Fran at Atlanta. Jeremy, we'll start with you this time.
Well, you said it best. The number one defense. They don't allow people to score points on them. They've been doing way better than I predicted on defense. I knew they'd be a top 10, maybe a top 5. I didn't expect them to be number 1 so far. They've got good pieces, but I didn't know if they'd put it all together yet, and it seems like they have on the defensive side of the ball. That being said, I think they're going to blow Atlanta out because other than Drake London, who they got.
I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like the Atlanta shit got blown out last week, and if it wasn't for an awful, and I mean awful, call by the officials, the roughing the passer on Tom Brady, they would have got the ball down 6 with a chance to win that football game. I think that's actually pathetic that the NFL allows that to be a roughing the passer call. There was 2 terrible calls for roughing the passer this year. I think they keep this game really close to the 49ers, man. They're 5-0 against the spread. I think they're 6-0 against the spread. I think the 49ers escaped this one, but very narrowly. I think it's a walk-off field goal and a 23-20 49ers win. One thing to look out for, the 49ers have a safety that named Talana Hufagna, who is unreal, bro. Shades of Troy Polamalu. The kid is unstoppable. He reads plays well. The guy is just next level. I love watching him play. So look out for him. Look out for that 49ers defense to cause a couple turnovers and to control Mariota. I'll take a 23-20 49ers win. Kyle.
You know what Tafanga does really well at taking away, though? Screen passes, which is Mariota's best friend.
I hear that.
Well, I'm going the Niners on this one as well. Kind of what Jeremy was saying. Offensively for the Falcons, Patterson out. I think Kyle Pitts is coming back, but he hasn't looked good basically since he's been drafted to Atlanta. They're still trying to find ways to get him in the end zone, I guess, to justify taking him that high. Quick note, I do live in Atlanta, so I watch the Falcons a lot. I wasn't a fan of the pick, and the fact that they can't get him the ball makes it seem more and more like they should have gone somewhere else. But so I expect the Niners to shut down the Falcons offense. Falcons still have their issues defensively, which I talk about all the time, tackling in the secondary or, Grady Jarrett.
Know if Kyle Pitts is related to Julio Jones. And the reason why I say that is both of them seem like they're allergic to the end zone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That was Julio's thing when he was in Atlanta.
Yeah,
Julio would have get a ton of yards, tons of receptions, but didn't get touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a Kyle Pitts problem, no. I think this is a Atlanta Falcons problem. Kyle Pitts had no problem scoring in Florida. The guy was a jump ball machine. He had over 1,000 yards last year as a rookie tight end. Kid looked great. Spurts off and on last year, but still looked really good. I think Marcus Mariota is just a different style quarterback, and I think that they haven't developed that chemistry. I don't think Marcus Mariota will be there for more than a stint this year. I think that Atlanta ends up drafting their quarterback of the future next year because I definitely don't think listen, you say what you want to say. Desmond Ridder is not that guy. I don't care what Atlanta. It's a terrible pick. I watched him play at Cincinnati. He's not a good quarterback. He gets happy feet. I think the Atlanta Falcons will be looking for a franchise quarterback again next year.
I mean, I think the fact that they haven't turned to Ridder yet probably lets you know what they think about him. Because they've
been competitive. They've been competitive in every game.
But it seems like they're taking the ball away from Mariota more and more, kind of limiting what he does offensively. And I mean, if they had beaten Tampa Bay last week, they're 3-2, and we're probably looking at them differently. But with that loss and then coming against the 49ers, they could be staring at 2-4. Tampa Bay seems like they might be starting to take off. I mean, it's going to be a pivotal game for Atlanta for this one. And I will say about that pass interference, the roughing the passer call, I think the one they called for Derek Carr was worse.
I agree.
I think the one they called that gave Jared Goff a first down versus the Patriots was worse.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, the two, listen, the one on Derek Carr where the defensive lineman stripped the ball, had the ball, put his arm out to block himself from landing was the worst one I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know how that was called. Like I watched that. I'm like, what? Like that was absurd. And then the Brady one was also just absolutely terrible. I think the Goff one was bad. I've seen the Goff one. I know. Well, Kyle knows all about that. Can't touch Brady in New England.
Hey,
but
it's the GOAT.
I feel you. A battle of 2 3-2 teams. Man, if you thought the Jets were going to be 3-2, 5 games into the season with Zach Wilson out for the first 4, first 3, He ended up playing week 4.
Mm-hmm.
What a surprise, man. What a surprise. The New York Jets are 7.5-point road dogs going into Green Bay after Aaron Rodgers and the Packers absolutely laid an egg in London in the second half. Got shut out by the Giants in the second half, lost the game. I'll start with this one. I just want to make one quick point, and I don't mean to pat myself on the back too hard, but I got a lot of shit, particularly from Freddie when I didn't have Aaron Rodgers on my top 10 list for quarterbacks this year. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, but we do a projections list on Wire to Wire for the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL for this year, just for this year, essentially just for what they do on the field this year. I didn't have Aaron Rodgers in my top 10. I was called crazy, a lunatic, I'm absurd. I wonder if you think that now. Aaron Rodgers with no weapons in Green Bay. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, Robert Tunyon. That doesn't really make me excited. But saying all that, I think the Green Bay Packers get it done at home versus the overperforming Jets. I do think Robert Saleh's got those boys playing very well. And Sauce Gardner has been everything advertised. Guy has been locked down. He recently said in an interview, he's like, I didn't give up a touchdown in college. I don't plan on giving up one in the NFL. So I love that. I love that mentality. Still hasn't. 5 games in. Do you think this is the week that Sauce Gardner gives up his first touchdown? I don't know, but I got the Packers winning this one 27-17, Green Bay.
Yeah,
right.
I can agree with that. I would like to see Green Bay, turn to Aaron Jones and Dylan Moore, because clearly Rodgers and this receiver group, they're not it. I don't know whether it's Rodgers not trusting them enough or the scheme isn't working for them, but they look a little lost in terms of the passing game. And Aaron Jones especially is just a beast back there. He gives you speed and power combo. And I just feel like that would make Aaron Rodgers' job easier. You establish the run, play action off of that, makes your job easier. But, I'm sure Rodgers probably trying to prove some point that he's, able to win with these guys or whatever. But I think the Jets do keep it close because I like what they're doing defensively at least. And then even offensively, Breece Hall, he's a weapon you got to pay attention to because he can beat you.
Nearly 200 yards last week.
Yeah, he can beat you in the passing game and in the run game. So, if you lose sight of him, he'll make a big play on you. But yeah, I like the Packers probably 27-19.
Jeremy.
Well, the one thing the Packers are weak against this year is the run.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago almost put up 200 yards between Justin Fields and their running backs, and that's a god-awful O-line. If they're able to do that, and the way Breece Hall is running, the way that O-line is protecting and making holes in the run game, this could be an upset in the making, because remember, they just flew back from England.
Yeah.
So I'm going to predict an upset here. I'm taking the Jets. I think it's going to be a close game, but it's going to be like 24-21.
I could actually see that. Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I'm not. I don't. I think that 7.5 point spread is absolutely crazy. I think that we're living in the Rodgers of old. I think this Jets team looks better and better. So I could definitely see that. I understand that pick completely. Moving forward, you got the Jaguars at the Colts. The Jaguars are 3. It's wild. The Jaguars play the Colts better than anybody in the entire NFL.
Yep.
It's crazy,
it's
right? Like the Jaguars are 2-3 this year. They won 2 games last year. Weren't they both versus the Colts? But
yeah,
it's they beat the Buffalo Bills. Actually, I think they won 3 games. They beat the Buffalo Bills 9-6 in Jacksonville. Don't ask me why I remember that. But the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wasn't that the first game when all the guys were out for Buffalo on defense?
No. They won the game 9-6. It was a defensive struggle throughout. Josh Allen couldn't move the ball. That Jaguars defense played exceptional. It was the only game Urban Meyer gets credit for the whole year because he's terrible. But the Jaguars 2-3, the Colts are 2-1. Who you like in this one, man? And a little inside info. The old revenge game for Frank Wright going against his old head coach, Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was coach of the Eagles 2017. Frank Wright, offense coordinator. Week 2, Jacksonville put it on him, beat him 24-0. I think this is a much higher scoring game this week. I think you'll get Shaquille Leonard back for the Colts. I think that Colts defense looks better, but I still think that Trevor Lawrence continues to move the football, but he's got to get rid of those turnover woes. But I'll take the Colts in a little bit higher scoring game than we expect. Give me 30-24, Indianapolis.
All right. Well, I mean, the Jaguars, like you said, are odd because they can't beat the Texans, but they can beat the Colts.
They can never beat the Texans. It's wild.
That's weird. But they seem to play up for the Colts. I think that happens here. I mean, the Colts, Matt Ryan's had his struggles. Pittman, I like Pittman, but if Matt Ryan's not upright, he can't find Pittman the ball. Although that guy Thursday night that he kept throwing to, the young one, was it
Alec Pierce?
Alec Pierce, yeah.
Out of Cincinnati.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good compliment to Pittman, and at least he gives Matt Ryan somebody else to look at, because for a while they looked like it was just Pittman that he was looking to. But yeah, I think hopefully Jacksonville figures it out, because like I said, I think a couple times on here, I think they could win the South. I said that last week when they should have beaten the Texans, but they lost that one. But as weird as the AFC South
still
is,
leading the division,
right? And they'll probably show up this weekend and blow doors against the Colts, and everybody will be wondering what's going on here. But
has Houston won a game yet?
Well, yeah, they just beat Jacksonville.
Yeah, just the Jacksonville win.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so they're 1-3-1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take Jacksonville. I don't know, 27-24.
Well, considering the whole offense last week of the Colts was allergic to the end zone, I'm going just the opposite. I think it's going to be 27-15. Going to be another 5 field goal game.
You got Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
that's okay.
I like what they're doing.
Same.
I like
love what Doug EP
defense.
does. Doug EP, man. Doug EP's a good head coach. He gets buy-in from those players.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next on the docket, you got the Minnesota Vikings going into Miami to take on Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins. No Tua, no Teddy Bridgewater. The backup, the third string quarterback will get the start. First, a Vikings team that is 4-1 on the season. A lot of people didn't see that coming. I did. I picked them to win the NFC North.
I picked them to be a wild card team, at least.
I like it. Jeremy, where do you see where do you sit on this game? You think the Vikings can beat the third string quarterback in Miami?
Winning without Tua. I don't see Miami winning another game.
Okay.
I mean, they got a decent defense. They've got decent weapons. But you're going to a guy that looked good in preseason with second and third stringers, and there's a reason why he was playing against second and third stringers, because he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL yet. There's a reason he was picked, what was it, the 5th round? I think it was. Yeah. So that being said, I like Skylar Thompson as a late round pick. I said he should go 5th or 6th round, and he fell into the 5th right to Miami, and I thought it was a good pick for him. And then they made that. They picked up Teddy Bridgewater too, and I said, that's going to kind of hinder his development, because Teddy Bridgewater is a borderline starter depending on which bad team he goes to. That being said, I think Minnesota's going to blow them out. They got the better defense. They've got definitely one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver room in the NFL right now.
So you have Minnesota blowing them out.
I'm kind of with Jeremy on this one. I don't like Miami without Tua, and I've been a big Kirk Cousins guy. Well, not like upper echelon quarterback in the league or anything, but I always feel like Kirk Cousins gets a little bit underrated in terms of how people look at his
It is
numbers,
an
and yet
afternoon game, though, right?
right, it's not
It's a
prime
1:00
time
game.
because that's
Okay.
because that's
Okay.
always
Yeah.
the thing with
So
Kirk Cousins.
afternoon game, Kirk Cousins is a top 10 QB. Prime time, he's bottom 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm completely against both of you guys on this one. You can think what you want to think and say what you want to say, and I understand that the Miami Dolphins are playing with a third string quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I will disagree with you guys on here is Kirk Cousins. He, for whatever reason, loves to lay stinkers against good defenses on the road. I watched the way he played versus Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles absolutely destroyed him. He should have thrown 5 picks that game, not just 2. I know it was prime time. I get it. I think Miami Dolphins come to play this week. I think Miami Dolphins get a big win this week. I think it's fueled by their defense. In every FanDuel lineup I start this week, I will be adding the Miami Dolphins defense. The team's fired up. They have a whole week of planning with their third string quarterback. They didn't have that this past week. Skylar Thompson out of Kansas State. I think that they get it done. I really do. Raheem Mostert has a good game. I think Mike McDaniel puts a good play chart together to get the speed involved, and I think Miami wins this one. I actually think it's going to be a blowout. I believe Miami kicks their ass this week. So give me the Miami Dolphins 31 over the Minnesota Vikings 6.
Wow.
Okay. I mean,
You
you explained it.
I could be wrong, but
yeah.
I could be wrong too.
Exactly.
We are predicting other teams, that we really don't follow. So you never know.
My guy, I have the NFL Plus package. I have the all 60. I watch every single NFL game. I'm absolutely nuts when it comes to the NFL. I watch way too much football. There's a reason I'm not married. I watch way too much football. And for whatever reason, man, I know this Kirk Cousins. I know what this Miami Dolphins defense is going to bring in them. I just know. And I feel it. I feel it strongly. I think Miami jumps on them, and I think that game's out of hand very early. I think you'll see a lot of turnovers from Captain Kirk. For the interest of time, though, we got to continue to move forward. Buccaneers Steelers. Kenny Pickett and the Steelers walked into a buzzsaw last week versus Buffalo. That game was 14-0 before you blinked your eyes, and 38-3 before you could sniff the roses. It was a bad game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin is a good football coach. They play at home this week. They play against Tom Brady, who I feel like has been struggling all season long. It's an 8.5-point spread. I know this is going to sound wild to you guys, but I don't think I have the balls to predict the upset, but I love the Steelers in this spot. Give me the GOAT 20, the Steelers 19 in like Brady going back to Foxborough first game, like that style of game. Ugly, good defensive game. I think Pittsburgh plays well. I think Pickett moves the ball. I just think it's going to be a very ugly, knockdown, drag it out football game. And I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just barely squeaking this one out. Kyle, how do you think about this one?
I mean, I can see that. Tomlin knows Brady, so defensively he can try to do some things against him. Although Brady, especially like in the playoffs, would torch Tomlin's defenses every once in a while. Yeah, Brady's still kind of in that mode where he's not playing at his best yet. He kind of gets there as we get closer to like Thanksgiving is when he really takes off. But even Pickett last week, yeah, interceptions look bad, but he threw for like what 300 plus. So not like he was completely useless out there. And with him getting another week of starter reps, he'll probably be fine. So I do see it as a close game, and I'm with you with the line. I could see Pittsburgh covering, but I don't see them winning. So I'm actually going like 23-16, and Kenny Pickett may have the ball in his hands with a chance to tie the game. At the end there, I could see that.
So we're both
Does the
picking
ball even
Pittsburgh.
fit in his hands?
Listen, man, he's been spinning the ball.
I know.
I'll say this, right? He has 4 interceptions, and I think the only one that is on him is the one from last week versus Buffalo. The 3 versus the Jets. I've watched Kenny Pickett's tape so much. You watch the game versus the Jets. He throws a ball that Chase Claypool misses, should have caught, ends up getting intercepted. The next ball he threw that was an interception was a little high throw, but it was all Freiermuth's hands that got tipped into the defender. It should have been out of bounds. Freiermuth tried making a play on it, tipped it, the ball got intercepted. And then the third one versus the Jets was a Hail Mary at the end of the game. So he was just throwing a ball up in the end zone, hoping. I don't like. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe I'm a crazy person, but I've watched a lot of that kid's tape, man. I think him and George Pickens are going to be a combo in this league that you'll need to remember within a few years.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game, Jeremy?
Well, you remember when Tampa first picked up Tom Brady, and the first 5 weeks, Tom Brady looked like crap?
Yes.
And then he flipped a switch, and a different Tom Brady played the rest of the season. No bye week. It flipped a switch. And it was kind of the same thing then. Remember, he didn't show up in the offseason too much. He didn't play in the preseason at all. And he struggled through 5 weeks. And then all of a sudden, the switch flipped, and his passer rating went from a 90 to like a 120 in 1 week. I think we're going to see that same thing now. Because there's something about the 6th week of the season with Tom Brady. He shows out every year.
Yeah.
So you can say what you want. I'm not betting against Brady. I think Tampa's going to win, and I think it's not going to be close because you're talking about a rookie quarterback behind an O-line that's almost as bad as the Bears.
That's fair. Fair point.
And they got a damn good defense in Tampa.
They do.
Yep.
Every point that you made is a factual point. I think I just have maybe too much confidence in Mike Tomlin. Guy's never had a losing season. He's going to have one this year, but I just feel like that he'll punch, crack, scratch, and claw, and keep that game close. I really believe that.
I think it's going to be a 14-point win. I think of like 31-17.
2 more 1 o'clock games, and then we get into the prime time. We have 2 prime time games we got to spend a little time on. That's why I'm trying to go a little quick through these. But these are 2 good games. First one on the docket, the Bengals, who are 2-3, Super Bowl hangover, are going to play the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. Another 2-3 team. Does Jameis play? Does he not play? Taysom Hill went off this past week, 4 touchdowns. Saints have a strong defense. They do. I will say this though. Geno Smith looked really good, and we'll talk about him in a minute versus the Saints. But this is a good game, and I think Joe Burrow's struggles continue. The Saints defense really gets after the quarterback, and I don't know if you've seen the press conference, and it might be just me reading into something, but somebody coughed in the press conference with Joe Burrow, and he jumped. And it's like they're making jokes about him having PTSD behind that offensive line and getting hit as much as he's getting hit. I don't know, man. Joe Cool is one of my favorite quarterbacks. I really think he gets it together. I just don't know if this is the week to do it. I think he needs a really good put it together game. I don't know if you guys seen the there's a lot of film that shows that Joe Mixon is kind of tipping off the run and pass plays for Cincinnati. Like he'll stand up straight for a run, and he'll bend over for a pass. And if some guy on TikTok could figure this out, I'm sure
Yeah,
NFL
he's
defenses
actually getting lower in his stance in the backfield on passing plays, and I think it's
correct.
because they expect him to chip block and then go out as the safety valve. And that
Correct.
being said, one thing I have noticed the first 3 weeks, that O line was not communicating. They weren't gelling. They weren't doing anything. You're talking about a guy the first 3 weeks was the most sacked quarterback not named Matt Stafford.
Not
So
named Carson Wentz.
that too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, all of them. They've been. They should be all suffering PTSD after those first 3 weeks.
Eagles sacked him
And
9 times week 3. 9 times.
yeah, 9 times. I know. That being said, I think the Saints are losing this game because I don't see famous Jameis coming in, and lately famous Jameis is looking like famous Jameis from Tampa Bay when he had his 30 for 30 season.
I've been on record. I think Jameis Winston stinks. I'll continue saying that. I think he's always stunk. I think he stunk at Florida State. I think he stunk in Tampa Bay. I think he stinks in New Orleans. I think he stinks. I've always said that. Jameis Winston is an absolute bum. He's been a bust of a #1 overall pick. I don't care if he plays, if he doesn't play. What I'm more concerned with is if Michael Thomas plays, it gives him a security blanket for either Jameis or Andy Dalton. But I still think the Saints win this football game. It's kind of like a Kyle. Before I go, it's
Yeah.
kind of like an old school LSU game. If you really think about it, you got
But
Landry, you got Burrow, Chase. So many LSU players on both sides of the ball will be playing it in their old stomping grounds.
I'll tell you what, my analogy of Jameis Winston when I watched him his senior year when he had his good year, do you know what I remembered? He looked and played the almost exact same style, but a smarter version of Jamarcus Russell.
That's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Who you like in the Cincinnati game? Cincinnati New Orleans game, Kyle.
I like the Bengals in this one. I've been one of those who's been on the Bengals, for a couple of years now. I just like their offensive weapons a lot. Now the whole mixing tipping thing, that's something that they'll definitely have to fix because, like you said, if a TikToker can notice it, NFL teams will be all over it, and then they'll just give you got too much talent in the NFL that if they know that about your offense, they'll be able to stop it no matter what the team is. But it's funny that you talk about James Winston. The whole thing with him and his eyes has baffled me, his whole career where he waits until like last year to get LASIK, even though you're a quarterback. So it's like, what exactly are you seeing when you're dropping back in the pocket? It doesn't make sense to me. Um, the whole squinting at Florida State where announcers would, the cameras would get right in his face. And I always thought there's no way he could play quarterback in the NFL squinting all the time. But yeah, I'm going Bengals. I think the Bengals have a relatively easy time, but the Saints defense is tough. But I like the Bengals like 26-17.
All right, our last 1 o'clock game before we get in our 4 o'clock games, and we got to start moving if we're gonna get this done before the 8:15 game, and that's partially on me, so I apologize. 1 o'clock game, the 1 o'clock game of the week is the New York Giants at home hosting the Baltimore Ravens, who, my opinion, this year's MVP, a quarterback, Lamar Jackson, playing against a Giants team coming back from London. I think this one's a blowout. I'll start here. I think the Ravens beat them by multiple touchdowns in this game. Give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree. The Ravens should have a easy time with this one. I mean, Daniel Jones has no wide receivers really to throw to. So defensively, Baltimore should be able to, put a lot of pressure on him. And then Lamar, he should have a big game in this one. So I agree with you. I like the Ravens big.
I
Jeremy?
actually like the Giants because the Ravens have been struggling against the run. Granted, they're getting Ojabo back ahead of schedule, which is going to help them in the passing game, but they haven't been doing a lot of passing. not like they were last year. Daniel Jones is only throwing about 25 to 30 passes a game versus the 35 to 40 passes a game the year before. So that being said, he's not passing because they don't have the weapons. They didn't put the right pieces around him. And the ones they do have, you got Kenny Galladay, who can't stay on the field, and when he is on the field, won't catch the ball. It's like he's allergic to it anymore. You got Kadarius Toney, who didn't even get a playbook till 5 days before the preseason started. And then you got Wan'Dale Robinson, who might be back this game. It's still up in the air. He's been limited at practice. I would like to see that kid play because he's by far their most talented receiver that's consistent. But that being said, Saquon Barkley, what can you say? He looks like the Saquon Barkley from his rookie year.
I sorry, I'm just replying to Freddie's bullshit that he's doing right now. I think it's absolute crap that he's hosting a call right now in the middle of our show. Apologize about that,
I
guys.
declined it.
Good, same, but I'm just replying to him. But let's continue moving on. Apologize about being on my phone, gentlemen. But 4:00 games. Let's knock out the before we get to primetime games. 2 West Coast games this week: Panthers, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks. I think the Rams look awful. Panthers finally followed Matt Rule. I think that's a very good fire for them. I think the Panthers play inspired football behind PJ Walker, and they move the ball. And I think the Rams win the game, but I don't think they covered the 10.5. Give me the Rams in a squeaker, 24-21.
Yeah, Rams have no business with a 10.5 point spread the way that they're playing. So I agree. I think the Panthers keep it close. PJ Walker can at least give them, a bit of a scrambling dynamic as well if the play breaks down. And I just don't like the Rams, how they look offensively. So I'm with you on that one.
I picked the Rams in a straight up pick 'em, but in a point spread pick 'em, the one that you can get from your buddies that have the college and football games where you got like 38 games scheduled. I picked the Pampers. I've been calling them Pampers for years. But anyways, I picked them to cover because just like you, I think it's going to be a close game because they don't have anybody getting separation on that wide receiver core other than Cooper Kupp. So that is Stafford's favorite target. That Ben Skoranek, whatever, Skoranacek, or however you say his name, he was getting open the first week and then he disappeared. They miss Van Jefferson and they miss Odell.
I completely agree with you. I think that they're not getting Allen Robinson involved. The chemistry between him and Stafford is light. I think the Panthers keep this one close.
I think Stafford's still remembering those days of Chicago when Mitch Trubisky was hitting Allen Robinson and torching us. But that's another story.
Always getting into Detroit. Always getting into your Lions, bro. I'm just kidding.
I got you.
I know, I got you. Cardinals Seahawks this week. Cardinals Seahawks. Geno Smith has looked great. Kyler Murray has not. So last week you're going to see without DeAndre Hopkins over there for Arizona. I think Seattle isn't as good as their record. I really don't believe that. But Geno Smith has played well. I got to give him all the credit in the world. I know they're only 2-3, but Geno Smith's kept them in all 5 games this year. I just really believe that the Arizona Cardinals are the better football team. So give me the Cardinals to go into Seattle, win that game. Although I will say this, there's 3 coaches in the NFL that I would never, ever start my franchise with. Cliff Kingsbury, Brandon Staley, and Nathaniel Hackett. Those 3 coaches absolutely stink. Cliff Kingsbury is one of them. The Arizona Cardinals are a poorly coached football team, but Kyler Murray allows them to get away with a lot of that. But I'll go to Cardinals very close, 30-27.
Yeah, once again, I agree. The Cardinals are kind of like, the Bengals for me, or the Broncos, where it's like there's a lot of talent there. It's just that it's just not working right now. And Seattle will play, inspired football, especially in Seattle. And Geno Smith has really resurrected his career. But yeah, I like the Cardinals in a close game here because that's how the Cardinals win anyway, close games.
Seeing how Kenneth Walker is coming back healthy as the main guy since Rashad Penny's out, and he's running the ball very well. I am just the opposite. That defense is doing just enough to keep them in games and keep a lead. I think they're going to come out early, and the 12th man is going to make it difficult for micro midget Kyler Murray to even hear his cadence. So I think the Sea Chickens are going to win it, and that above 70% completion percentage will continue for Geno Smith.
And the last game I want to run through is Monday Night Football. I don't know how Russell Wilson's got himself 5 primetime games already. It's just it's absurd. But
He's
Russell
a Super Bowl
Wilson and the
winning
Denver,
quarterback.
you don't get 5 primetime games in the first 6 weeks of the season. I don't care who you are.
I know.
But taking it a step further, the Broncos are playing at the Chargers. Broncos cry. At this point, I think the Chargers win this one. It being in LA makes it easier for me. I think Nathaniel Hackett's a one and done coach in Denver, and he stinks. I think he's awful. So give me the Chargers in this one.
I think Brandon Staley gets his job saved because the Chargers will not charger away a loss here like they have been doing.
They tried throwing that game away versus Cleveland. They tried throwing that game away versus Cleveland. Went for it on 4th down instead of punting the ball. Yep. Are you out of your mind?
Well, yeah. And why not? I said this, and everybody said I was stupid. I said at the end of that game, once again, he went for a 54-yarder when he should have went for a first down, and Nathaniel Hackett decided to roll Brandon McManus, who's maybe a 52% kicker from over 50. He has a hell of a leg, but his accuracy is like hitting with a global thermal nuclear weapon. That being said, then he doesn't take the field goal when it's a chip shot to get a tie, which might make the difference. If you start turning your team around to get into the playoff, that tie might get you that 3rd place spot or that 5th place spot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But without that tie, you don't have a shot. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Chargers are going to win, and Staley's job will be, or Stokely's job will be good for another week.
I really believe that Staley, Hackett, and Kingsbury all need to be gone. They're terrible coaches. Kyle?
No, I'm with you guys. I'm on the Chargers in this one. I've been a big fan of the Broncos when they brought Russ over, but it's looking worse and worse week after week. Now the whole shoulder procedure or whatever thrown into it. Yeah, I can't pick the Broncos in this game.
Who has the worst QBR in the league as a starter? Oh, Baker Mayfield. It's Broncos country. 16.5, the only quarterback in NFL history to have a worse one. I already mentioned him, Jamarcus Russell at 11.8.
Baker Mayfield has been so bad this year.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd like to tell you I know the main event this week, but I'm gonna allow you guys to pick the main event because I feel like my biasness is gonna get. I'll start picking the main event. I think the main event
Buffalo
this week,
versus Chiefs.
I think it's Dallas and Philadelphia. The records indicate 9-1, 5 wins, 5-0 versus 4-1. But Kyle, what's the main event this week? You choose, and then we'll go to co-main event right now, and then main event last.
I mean, first glance, I would have said Bills Chiefs probably is the main event of the week. So,
all right. So we will start with the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Will host the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is. I know what Freddie's saying, but at the end of the day, there's only one team left that's undefeated. They're playing on Sunday Night Football, and the Philadelphia Eagles are that team. Dallas Cowboys coming off 4 straight wins. They're going to start Cooper Rush again this week. That's what it looks like. Dak Prescott practicing limited for him. Oh, you start us off. How do you think the game goes?
Well, speaking as somebody that's faced the Eagles already with his team, we're the only team to put up any points of consequence against you guys. No one else has been able to do it. That's why I have a little bit of faith of having a turnaround after the bye week to at least make the season palpable for the Lions. But that being said, the Eagles are winning this game probably by double digits.
I agree.
Thinking 33-20.
Yeah.
Kyle?
No, I agree. I think the Eagles win this one easily. Cooper Rush and that offense is going to struggle against this Eagles defense. I mean, he has a little bit of a connection with CeeDee Lamb, but Eagles secondary is pretty good. So I think they'll be able to lock down CeeDee Lamb, and we'll probably see Cooper Rush look like a backup in this game. So I'm with Jeremy. Eagles easy.
Freddie, I'm going to need you to cash at me that $100 that we bet before the season started, because there's no chance that the Rams finish ahead of the Eagles this year. But I will go into this, and I'm going to make this very, very simple, right? I think Philadelphia Eagles absolutely destroyed Dallas Cowboys this week. I'm normally a Philadelphia Eagles pessimist. Kyle's been on the show with me every week.
Yep.
I always temper expectations. I never do this, right? The Philadelphia Eagles are going to kick this shit out of the Cowboys this week. 34-13. And let me kind of break down why. You mentioned CeeDee Lamb, right? Is Justin Jefferson a better receiver than CeeDee Lamb?
Yep.
What did that man Darius Slay do against Justin Jefferson? Locked him up. That's what he did. Darius Slay is going to line up against CeeDee Lamb and lock him up. All right, let's talk about Micah Parsons, potentially defensive player of the year, one of the best young defensive players in the league. You got DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side. There's not a tackle tandem pairing in the league that is better than Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. Paved the lane, and the big Australian rugby player, Jordan Mailata, are going to handle that Cowboys front seven. I know it. You add Landon Dickerson, who's the third best ranked guard in football, PFF. You got Jason Kelsey, who's the best, might be the second best center in football. There's
Second
a guy
or third.
in Kansas City.
He's second or third. I'm making him top 5 automatically.
You got Jason Kelsey. That offensive line slows down the pass rush of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about receiving corps. Let's talk about Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is talked about as this stud corner. You know who gave up more yards than anybody in the NFL last year? Trayvon Diggs. He's an all or nothing type cornerback, and Jalen Hurts has not been turning the ball over. I think A.J. Brown cooks him. Let A.J. Brown cook. And the three Batmans, I don't know if you know the slogan, they asked Jalen Hurts about, is Devontae Smith like a Robin to A.J. Brown's Batman? And Jalen Hurts goes, we have three Batmans in our receiving corps. We got swole Batman, A.J. Brown. We got skinny Batman, Devontae Smith. And we got fast Batman, Quez Watkins. I think the three Batmans run wild against the Cowboys, and the Philadelphia Eagles put a pounding on Dallas on Sunday night. I'll put it to you this way. In the third quarter, you're not going to want to watch that football game anymore. That game will be over. And I already wrote the story for Dallas. They don't want to start Dak Prescott this week because they don't want him to come into Philadelphia and get his ass beat. They're going to start Cooper Rush. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to kick the shit out of him. And then afterwards, they're going to be like, oh, we get to go back to Dak now. No more quarterback controversy. It stops the quarterback controversy right away in Dallas after Philadelphia puts a licking on them. And Jason Peters, I hope you're listening. Jason Peters talking a lot of that shit. Hall of Fame left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles for years. You go put that star on because you're stealing money. You stole money from Chicago last year. You're stealing money from Dallas this year. You're an absolute joke. Jason Peters, you're a fraud.
Jason Peters was half as good as he was with Philly. Last year, he'd have been the best offensive lineman with Chicago, but he wasn't. It was Cody Whitehair.
My man is a fraud. Jason Peters talking about Eagles fans, talking about they're all idiots and they like to throw stuff and they're vile. Jason Peters, we made you a hero in this town. And I know you were joking around and said Philly's your home and all that. Nah, bro. If Philly's your home, you never put that star on. Never put that star on. I can't imagine being a Green Bay Packers fan and lining up against Brett Favre when he played for the Vikings. I can't imagine being a Philadelphia Eagles fan and lining up against Jason Peters on the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles win this one big. It's a revenge game for me. It's a revenge game for the Eagles, and this game is not close. Philadelphia 34, Dallas Cowboys 13. And it might be worse. It might be 41-13. You better believe that Philadelphia Eagles team is not letting their foot off the gas for Dallas. They're going to make a statement this week. Let's get into the game of the week. I had to get that off my chest, man. I'm a diehard
Yeah,
Eagles
I
fan,
got you.
and there's nothing more us Eagles fans hate than the Dallas Cowboys. But we got game of the week this week. Buffalo Bills are actually a 2.5-point favorite. First time in Patrick Mahomes' career. He's been a home dog. It's never happened before. Buffalo Bills are a 2.5-point favorite going into Arrowhead to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kyle, how do you see this one going, brother?
I feel like this is probably going to be a rematch of that playoff game, just up and down the field, back and forth. I am a little surprised to see the Chiefs as a dog at home, but I will say Kansas City has a tendency to start off games a little slow, and they've kind of gotten lucky against certain teams. I mean, even look back at that Chargers game where Herbert got hurt. Chargers came out on fire, and then Kansas City slowly made their way back into the game. I feel like if they do that against Buffalo, they probably won't have the opportunity because right now Josh Allen is rolling. I mean, just look what he did against Pittsburgh with Gabe Davis over the top. So, I mean, this was a tough one to pick because I find it hard to pick against the Chiefs at home. But I think if a team can do it, I can see Buffalo getting their revenge of the playoff loss and winning this one. Be close, high scoring. I could see 38-34.
Jeremy.
I'm saying the same thing, but it's also because the more complete roster is the Buffalo Bills roster. It's not just Josh Allen. The only thing they're missing is a solid running back. That's the only thing they're missing. They got a nice running back by committee, but they don't have one standout. That's why they're in the talks to get Christian McCaffrey. That's why they've even contacted the Giants to see if they'll come off of Saquon Barkley. I mean, they're trying to get their guy to be the guy. Do I agree it's Christian McCaffrey? No, because I think he's more fragile than DeAndre Smith anymore. But that's another story too. Yeah, I think the
There you
Bills
go, bringing
win it.
Detroit up again.
Yes, sir.
Jeremy, I need you to be home every week. I need you to be home every week at 7 p.m. Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time. I need to see your beautiful face on the screen. You hop on here with me and Kyle. It's been a fun night. So I need you to hop on and be on here Thursday nights with us. I think it'll be a fun time. Continue to talk on football. We've been looking for a third. You've been awesome all night. But let's hear your prediction for Buffalo versus Kansas City.
I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than even he thinks. I think it's going to be Bills 45 and the Chiefs 38.
Okay.
I'm always on my ledge. I feel like I do this on wire to wire too much, and I'm doing it here. I always get on my branch because I see things just through a different lens sometimes. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I don't think this game's that close. I don't. You remember last year when the Buffalo Bills played at Arrowhead and won that game? I'm not talking about the playoff game. I'm talking about early in the season.
Regular season. Yeah.
Yes. I think to Kansas City, this is another game on their schedule. I think to Buffalo, this is the game on their schedule. I think this game has been circled since the Super Bowl, since as soon as the schedule came out. Oh, we're playing Kansas City in Arrowhead. I cannot wait to play that game. I was actually hoping the game would be in Buffalo. I really believe that. I want to watch that. I want to see how Patrick Mahomes responds in Buffalo. Buffalo, you said it perfectly, Jeremy. You said it perfectly. Kansas City, or Kyle said this. One of you guys said Kansas City starts slow. They start slow. They allow teams to get ahead of them early. And Buffalo are the best front runners in football. That's what they are. And when I look at the teams fully and I look at them as a whole, Buffalo, if you take Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen off those teams, the better roster by a landslide is Buffalo. It's not close. Before the season started, I predicted the Super Bowl champions would be the Buffalo Bills. And for that reason, I'm going to go Buffalo 41, Kansas City 21. In a 20-point blowout at Arrowhead. Because nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I'll take Buffalo in a rather blowout. And I think that they get ahead early. And I think Kansas City moves the ball. They go for it on a couple fourth downs. I think Mahomes might throw for over 400 yards. I don't think he'll have an issue moving the football, but I think that when it comes to putting in the end zone, I think a couple turnovers happen. I think Buffalo wins this one. I think their front, I say this all the time, Gregory Rousseau, Ed Oliver, Von Miller, that front four for Buffalo is nasty. And they get at the quarterback without having to blitz. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, that secondary is the best secondary in the league when they're all healthy. I'm not sure how many of them are going to play this week. A couple of them are questionable. Tre'Davious White came back last week. He might get his feet under him a little bit more, but I'm not scared of that receiving core of Kansas City. The only one that scares me is Travis Kelce, and I bracket coverage him the entire game. So I'll take Buffalo to win this one, 41-21.
You saw they tried to do that last week. They tried, the Raiders tried to blanket cover. How do you have 7 catches, 25 yards, and 4 touchdowns?
Because in the red zone, that man's different.
Yeah.
Because in the red zone, that man is different.
And that's why I had the score closer like I did, is because that's what they do, is they're a second half team. They're not a first half team. They're a second half team.
Agreed.
And I think they're going to score in the buttload on the second half. The difference is, last year, the Bills' defense was horrible against the run, and they built this defense to stop the run this year. The people they brought in free agency and who they drafted and everything else, they've been stuffing the run, and that's why the Chiefs won't be able to get enough to get it done.
I will say this, though. The Buffalo Bills have the absolute worst fight song in all of sports. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this. Kyle, I expect you to know, being a Patriots fan. But the Buffalo Bills have the worst fight song in the history of sports. Jeremy, do you know what it is?
No.
Kyle, do you know what it is?
I don't. I mean, I've heard. I don't know what it is.
So the Buffalo Bills did a cheesy rendition of the song "Shout," and their fight song
Isley Brothers Shout, or Tears for Fears Shout?
The Bills make me want to shout, throw my hands up and shout. Like, it is absolutely absurd. It is 8:13. The Amazon game comes on in 2 minutes. We try to get you off right before the Thursday night football game. This is Pregaming Pigskin. My man Kyle Edwards, always giving picks, always giving good knowledge. Jeremy joining us from the phone. Hopefully he joins us through the video next week. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak from Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday night, hanging out with us, talking football. Listen, at the end of the day, we're going to keep coming at this. We're going to keep building, keep getting stronger. Sports Empire Network had a big phone call in the middle of our damn podcast, so I'll talk to Freddie about that. We might have some new news for you guys shortly. But thank you guys very much. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and y'all have a great week. And go watch this slop of a football game.
I want to say thank you for letting me in, and if there's any Lions fans watching, you can check me out at Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B on YouTube. I do 3 shows a week religiously when we don't have games, and I do 4 shows when we do have games, because I like to do my own commentary. I watch the game and kind of do it in a Bob Uecker / Bob Meanery style. So that way it makes it more fun.
I like it. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
That being said, it was a pleasure to be on with you guys.
Dude, pleasure to have you, man.
Great having you, Jeremy.
Kyle, you're the man. Jeremy, you're the man. I appreciate y'all. Let's wrap it up. Kyle, let's add him to the group. If you're good with joining us, Jeremy, I know you do a lot of shows. We'll talk offline. Y'all have a great night. I'm going to talk to my publisher, because he gave me the night off, and I was like, man, I wanted to talk football. I was ready. Well, y'all have a great one. Take care. Go Birds.
All right.